And good Monday afternoon, everyone. I'm Sheba Russell. Thanks for joining us for Facts Not Fear at noon. From food programs for kids to helping the homeless, the Atlanta City Council expected to agree on ways to spend $7 million in emergency COVID-19 funds today. Doug Richards has a preview of the meeting.
The Atlanta City Council will hold a virtual meeting this afternoon. The public is invited to virtually attend by calling a phone number that you can find on 11alive.com. One of the issues the council is expected to address is homelessness during the pandemic. The city has seen a spike in the number of homeless people who have camped out at the Atlanta Hartsfield-Jackson Airport in the last few weeks. City officials have said that a local hotel has offered to temporarily house homeless folks, though they have declined to name the hotel. On its agenda, the City Council will act on a proposal to spend $1 million on the city's homeless issues during the pandemic. There are also proposals to fund $2 million in food programs for children and seniors. $1.5 million for small business continuity, $1 million to purchase emergency technology for use by city employees who are teleworking, and $1.5 million to provide emergency assistance to employees and hourly wage earners of businesses engaged with the city whose incomes are adversely impacted. And all of this added spending is expected to take place as the city's tax revenues have been shrinking because of the economic downturn.
New data suggesting Georgia may have already reached its peak. A model updated on Friday shows coronavirus deaths per day appear to have been dropping since April 7th, and overall cases appear to have been leveling off over the last 2 weeks. One of Emory University's top infectious disease experts say this shows social distancing is working, but he says now is not the time to let up.
And I think about the peak the way I think about, going up a mountain, going up Everest. You get to the peak and you don't say, okay, I'm done. You still have to get down, right? It's still dangerous coming down.
The model showing that a safe time to scale back those measures, those restrictions, would be mid-June. In a statement, Governor Gov Kemp acknowledging the good news from this model, but encouraged Georgians to stay the course while he works on a plan to reopen the economy. We should learn more about that plan in a news conference led by the governor this afternoon at 4. You can watch it live right here on 11 Alive and on the 11 Alive YouTube page. Now to the latest number of coronavirus cases in Georgia, and these numbers just in. There are now nearly 19,000 confirmed infections, more than 730 deaths, and 3,550 people hospitalized. A recently published report says cross-contamination at the CDC lab in Atlanta may have delayed the rollout of COVID-19 testing kits. The Washington Post reporting the CDC put together the kits in the same lab space where it was handling synthetic coronavirus, and that jeopardized the test accuracy. According to the report, the distribution had to be put on hold until the CDC could redesign them, and that set the agency back about a month. Beginning today, more bus MARTA routes have been temporarily suspended. It is now 40% reduced. Jerry Carnes explains why and shares some passengers' frustrations.
MARTA passengers have seen big changes since the coronavirus crisis began. Now comes the most dramatic change of all, and many passengers are not happy about it. Georgia's shelter-in-place orders mean fewer passengers on buses and trains, leading MARTA to prioritize what it's calling essential transit service. All but 41 bus routes have been temporarily suspended. The Transit Authority is focusing on routes that take passengers to places like hospitals, grocery stores, and job centers. Rides are now free, and MARTA is doubling service on 34 routes deemed essential. Still, some passengers are upset and showing it on MARTA's Twitter account. Among the responses, what about the people who don't have any other means of transportation? From another passenger, I'm an essential employee. I can't get to work. This was not thought out at all. MARTA is apologetic. The response on Twitter: we apologize that we can't serve all geographic areas during this crisis while we concentrate our buses on core routes to provide space for social distancing. MARTA says it's reviewing passenger comments as it evaluates its response to the coronavirus pandemic.
And if there are any changes, we'll be sure to let you know. The second wave of stimulus payments is expected to roll out today. This time, we're talking about the checks, the paper checks. About 5 million will be mailed per week, lowest income first. It could take up to 5 months for all of the checks to be delivered. If you're trying to track down your payment, go to 11alive.com and look for this story. You'll find a link to the IRS stimulus payment tracker site. Burger chain Shake Shack is returning $10 million in forgivable government loans. The Paycheck Protection Program set aside $349 billion to help small businesses keep its workers on the payroll. But less than 2 weeks after it started, it ran out of money. Several small business owners weren't able to get the loans and were surprised to learn more than a dozen large chains like Shake Shack had been approved. Congress is reportedly close to a deal that would provide an additional $310 billion into the program.